All right, so this Testosil thing you sent over, this article about boosting testosterone after 50 definitely caught my eye too, especially that whole 434% increase claim. Got to separate the hype from the facts, see what's really going on.
And that's crucial, especially for men over 50. The article does a good job capturing those relatable experiences, the energy dips, workouts, feeling tougher. But the thing is, these experiences, while common, they aren't necessarily just inevitable consequences of getting older.
So you're saying we don't just have to accept the slow decline. There's more to it.
Exactly. We hear a lot about andropause, which unlike menopause in women, it's this gradual decline in testosterone production as men age.
Okay, so it's not just a made-up marketing term. It's actually a real thing.
It is a real biological process. And the impact goes beyond just the physical stuff, like, muscle mass or your energy levels. Lower testosterone can affect your sleep, your focus, even your mood. It's all connected.
Interesting. So let's talk about this Testosil claim. Boosting testosterone by 434%. That sounds almost too good to be true, right? Is that even possible?
It definitely grabs your attention. That 434% figure is actually from studies on KSM-66 ashwagandha, which is a key ingredient in Testosil. It's a specific kind of ashwagandha studied for its benefits.
Ashwagandha. Okay, I've heard of that. But a 434% increase. What were they doing in those studies?
Well, this is where context is key. And this is where a lot of supplement companies can get kind of tricky. That 434% increase was observed in a specific group. Men aged 18 to 50 who are also exercising regularly.
So it's not like you just pop a Testosil pill and suddenly you're, a muscle-bound 20-year-old again.
Yeah, not quite. It shows how important it is to look at the whole picture, the entire formula and how it all works together. You can't just isolate one stat.
Right, got to see the whole picture. And speaking of transparency, this article made a big deal about Testosil actually listing out its ingredients. No hiding behind, some proprietary blend. So what's actually in this formula? How are they trying to get this testosterone boost?
That transparency is a good sign, especially in an industry that's not always so, forthcoming. So alongside that KSM-66 ashwagandha we talked about, we've got ZMA, fenugreek, D-aspartic acid, and estrogen. Quite the lineup.
Okay, time to put on our science hats, I guess. Let's break down each ingredient, starting with the ashwagandha. What's the deal with that?
So in addition to potentially boosting testosterone, ashwagandha is also believed to help manage cortisol, which is, the stress hormone, that feeling when you're constantly on edge. That's often cortisol at work.
Cortisol, the enemy of chill. And I'm guessing as we get older, we've probably got more of it floating around.
Yeah, that's often the case, unfortunately. And that's where ZMA comes in. That's the zinc, magnesium, and vitamin B6 you see on the label. Zinc is super important for testosterone production, and it can get depleted by, stress and just aging in general.
So it's like backup for your testosterone.
Exactly. And magnesium, that plays a key role in muscle recovery and sleep, both essential for overall well-being and hormone balance as men age.
So we've got stress management, muscle recovery. What about this fenugreek? I keep hearing about that. What's its deal?
It's interesting. You see, as men age, it's not just about testosterone decreasing, right? Sometimes estrogen levels can actually rise relative to testosterone, and fenugreek is believed to help balance those levels out. Could be why it's in a lot of these supplements.
So keeping things in check, not just laser focused on one thing.
Yeah.
Okay, what about the last two ingredients we haven't gotten to? D-aspartic acid and an estrogen. Those sound like something out of a sci-fi movie.
They do sound pretty high-tech, but they both have a specific purpose. Let's start with the D-aspartic acid. That one's an amino acid that basically tells your body, hey, we need more testosterone over here. It's like a signal to increase production.
Like a wake-up call for your system.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Now, estrogen, this one's interesting. It doesn't directly impact testosterone. It actually helps your body absorb the other nutrients more effectively.
Wait, so it's like a booster for the boosters?
Exactly. It's like a key that unlocks the other ingredients. Make sure your body can actually use all those beneficial compounds, like how some medications have extra stuff to help with absorption.
That makes sense. I've definitely tried supplements where I'm like, is this even doing anything?
Yeah, and that's a valid concern. Especially as we get older, our nutrient absorption can become less efficient. Having something like estrogen is actually a pretty smart move. Shows they're thinking about the whole process.
Right. It's like they're saying, we're not just giving you the tools, we're making sure you can use them. Speaking of tools, this article wasn't just about the supplement itself. They also talked a lot about lifestyle changes. Like, the supplement is only part of it.
And I can't stress that enough. No supplement, no matter how good it is, can fully counteract an unhealthy lifestyle. It all goes hand in hand. Like, putting, premium gas in a car that hasn't had an oil change, you're not going to get the full benefit.
Okay, good analogy. So what are some of the lifestyle recommendations they talked about? What should guys be focusing on?
They emphasize diet a lot. A diet with, lean proteins, healthy fats, fruits, vegetables, things like fish, chicken, nuts, avocados, leafy greens, that kind of stuff.
So nothing too restrictive, just like healthy eating.
Yeah, exactly. And these aren't just about boosting testosterone. They're about overall health and well-being.
Which, let's face it, most of us could use a little more of. What about exercise? Did they get into that at all?
They did. They really emphasize strength training, especially those compound exercises, the ones that work multiple muscles at the same time. So like squats, deadlifts, bench presses.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that lifting weights is good for testosterone.
It is, because building and maintaining muscle mass is so important as we age. And they also mention high-intensity interval training, or HIAT, those workouts where you alternate between like short bursts of intense exercise and then you recover.
Oh, right. I've tried those. They get your heart rate going. What's the benefit there?
HIAT has been shown to be really effective for both heart health and boosting testosterone. And the good thing is you can adapt it for any fitness level. You don't have to go crazy.
It's good to hear. So maybe starting with brisk walks and building up to something more intense?
Exactly. Just find what works for you and your body and gradually challenge yourself more over time.
Makes sense. They also mentioned stress management, which I feel like is more relevant than ever these days. Everyone I know is stressed out.
It's true. We live in a crazy world. The article talked about getting enough sleep. We know how crucial sleep is for hormones. They also recommend mindfulness practices like meditation or deep breathing.
Those things we all know we should do but don't.
Yeah, it's easy to let those slip, but taking even 5 or 10 minutes a day to just disconnect and breathe deeply, quiet your mind, it can make a difference.
Small, consistent efforts, not a whole life overhaul.
Exactly. And remember what we were saying about cortisol. Chronic stress means high cortisol, which messes with your hormones. Managing stress isn't just about feeling calmer, it's about protecting your hormonal health.
Cortisol sneaky like that.
Okay.
So we've covered the ingredients, the lifestyle stuff. What about how Testosil compares to other testosterone boosters out there? The article mentioned that it stacks up pretty well against the competition.
Yeah, and they highlighted a couple of things. First, that transparency we talked about earlier, listing all the ingredients and how much of each one is in there that's big. A lot of brands use those vague proprietary blends, but Testosil lets you know exactly what you're getting.
No mystery ingredients.
Yeah.
I like that. What else makes them different?
Their lifetime money-back guarantee. It's pretty impressive.
A lifetime guarantee. Seriously. Most supplements are like, 30 or 60 days, right?
Right. And let's be real, that's often not long enough to see results. Especially with something like testosterone, it fluctuates naturally.
It's not an overnight thing.
Exactly. The lifetime guarantee says they're confident in their product long-term.
That's got to mean something. Yeah, that's a pretty big deal for a company to do that.
It definitely shows they believe in what they're selling.
Yeah.
And, earlier you mentioned the article had those stories from guys using Testosil, the ones who had good experiences. I mean, those are always kind of interesting to hear.
Oh, yeah. Some of them were talking about, feeling like they were back in their 30s. More energy, better workouts, even just feeling more confident. It's hard not to get caught up in that.
I know, it's natural to want to believe those stories, but it's important to remember they're just that. Stories. What works for one person might not work for another. Everybody's different, right? Different bodies, lifestyles, genetics, all that.
Right. Like they say on those weight loss commercials, results not typical.
Exactly. The stories can be inspiring, but don't get your hopes up too high.
So as we're wrapping up here, what are your main takeaways from all this? About Testosil. If you had to sum it up, what's the headline?
I think the most interesting thing is just how they're approaching the whole thing. It's not just take this pill and everything will be fixed. It's more about recognizing that men's health after 50 is complicated and that lifestyle matters just as much as supplements.
Working with your body, not against it.
Yeah, exactly. And while no supplement's going to completely reverse aging, Testosil seems to be doing things differently compared to a lot of others out there. They're being transparent, they've got that lifetime guarantee, and they're backing it up with research. That's pretty cool to see.
It's nice to see a company that's not just about the hype.
Definitely. But even with all that said, you got to be careful with any supplement. Do your research, talk to a doctor, listen to your body.
Couldn't agree more. It's all about finding what works for you.
Absolutely.
Okay, before we let you go, one last thing for our listeners to think about.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about the physical side of aging, the energy, the muscles, all that. But what about the mental and emotional side?
Oh, that's a really important point, and it's easy to forget about. As we age, our priorities change, the way we see things changes, right? It's not just about looking younger, it's about feeling good about where you are in life.
The whole package, not just the outside.
Exactly. So here's something for everyone to think about. What does it mean to age well, besides the physical stuff? What brings you joy? What gives you a sense of purpose? Those are things to think about along with anything else you're doing.
That's a great point. It's not just about living longer. It's about making those years mean something.
Perfectly said.
I like that. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap up here. For anyone listening, if you've got experience with Testosil or any thoughts on aging, men's health, whatever, let us know. Yeah. Find us on social media, shoot us an email, whatever works for you. Until next time, keep those brains engaged and those questions coming.
Keep learning. Aging's a journey, not a finish line.